dear students, my name is Shaina Gupta. I am an assistant professor in RPIIT Medical and Technical Campus. Today, we will try to understand what is the production function. To understand the production function, first we need to understand what is production. Production refers to the activity that helps in transforming the input or resources into the outputs as goods and services. Production refers to the transformation of inputs or resources into outputs of goods and services. In other words, production refers to all the activities that are involved in the production of goods and services, from borrowing to set up or expand production facilities, to hiring workers, purchasing raw material, running quality control, cost accounting, and so on. Rather than referring merely to the physical transformation of inputs into the outputs of goods and services, production includes all the activities that are required in the transformation of the input to the output. For example, a computer company hires workers to use the machineries, the parts, the raw material in a factory to produce a personal computer. An output of a firm can either be a final commodity or an intermediate product, such as computer or a semiconductor respectively. The output can also be a service rather than a good, like education, medicine, banking, etc. These are the services. They can also be considered as an output. Now, what is the production function? If we mathematically represent the relationship, then we can say that output is the function of the land, labor, capital. Here, Q is the function of KLLA. K is the capital, L is the land, and KLA represent the labor. So we can say mathematically the output is the function of capital, land, and labor. Now there are two distinct types of production function that show possible range of substitution inputs in the production process. First is the fixed proportion production function, and second is the variable proportion production function. There are the two types of production functions that we can that are seen in the possible range of substitution inputs in the production process. Now, production function in the short term. In the short term, when there is one input, say the capital, that remains the constant, and an addition to the output can be obtained by only using one additional unit of labor. Here the capital is the fixed input, but the labor is the variable input. So if we want to increase the output, that can be done only when we change we can add in the units of the variable input. In the long run, all the factors are considered to be variable. Either land, labor, capital, machinery, tool, everything is variable in a long run. Production process is subjected to the various phases. The production process goes through the various processes. The law of production states that the relationship between the output and the input. Okay. So now, what is the law of production? In the short run, relationship between the output and input are studied by varying one input, other things being held constant. Here in the short run, we study the law of the variable proportions that brings out the relationship between the varying proportions of the factors of inputs and output. In the long run, production function is subjected to the different phase that is described under the law of returns to scale. Which is studied assuming that the all factor inputs are variable. Okay, in the short run, we study the variable proportions, law of variable proportions, where we bring out the relationship between the varying proportions of the factors of input and output. In the long run, we study the law of returns to scale, where we assume that all the factor inputs are the variable factors. Now, what is the law of variable proportions? Law of variable proportions, or we can say short run law of production. The assumptions are one factor is variable, other factors is constant. Labor is homogeneous, technology remains constant, input prices are given. So in the short run, we can increase 1 unit of the variable to bring out the additional production, or we can say increase in the output. That's all for today. I hope this lecture was of help to you. In the further lectures, we will discuss about the law of variable proportions and the law of returns to scale. So keep watching the RPIIT Academics channel. Thank you.